All right, this is a special episode of Extreme Health Radio. Super happy to be with you guys. I apologize for the delay. Oh my goodness, we were supposed to have Dr. Frank Shallenberger on the show, and for some reason he was just a no-show. So we waited around and waited and waited, and we didn't know how long to wait. And then so I had my wife and co-host, Miss Kate Stellman, call, and their office is closed today. So for some reason, I don't know if they didn't get the emails, but so luckily Kate, aka Bear Cub Stellman, is joining us today. So this will be a little free-for-all Friday show. Not what we planned, but Kate is really stepping up to the plate here.
I'm trying. People like real, and they're going to get real today. I had to throw on some red lipstick to make it look like I have makeup on.
That's right. That's right.
I have a baby in one room sleeping, a baby in the living room sleeping, and 2 dogs by me. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if it goes crazy, then I think we'll just maybe figure something else out. But
it's great to hear. I missed it. It's fun.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's cool. The only thing is, I can't see the chat.
Oh, you can't see the chat?
I see like off to the right there's a section where people can chat, but how can I find that if people are writing things?
Are you on YouTube or Facebook?
I'm a link you sent me. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I will find it.
Ray Campos is here. Awesome. Thanks, Ray. Is it Monday? No, it's Friday. But yeah, aloha, Sharon. Hello. Missed the first few minutes. This is awesome. Can you see those chat room questions, Kate?
Do I want to do it through YouTube?
Yeah, you want to do it through YouTube.
Okay, I'm bringing it up. Keep going. Perfect.
All right, cool, guys. Well, this is episode 598, and it's been a long time since Kate and I did a show together, but she's kind of stepping up to the plate, taking Dr. Shallenberger's place. I don't know what happened with Dr. Shallenberger. He wasn't available. So he had all scheduled for 10:45 a.m. today, and he was a no-show. So I think what we're going to do is just kind of free-for-all it. And if you guys have any questions, sort of what they call an AMA, which is like an Ask Me Anything kind of thing. And if you guys want to join us, ask us anything, find out what's going on. P900 Cool Picks is here. Ray Campos is here. Kate Stellman is here, obviously. And aloha, Sharon, as well. Yeah, I hope you guys are joining us. This is cool. Jill5616 says, I bought matcha tea and castor oil. Awesome. That's cool. What are you going to use them for? I'm so excited. Your show is so amazing. I plan on subscribing to your sessions. Awesome. Thanks, Ray.
Right on.
So, Kate, you can see those, right?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. Awesome. So first and foremost,
it's kind of fun.
It is cool, huh?
Not expected, but this is fun. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I know, yeah. So first and foremost, I think like I wanted to share this in the wrap up of one of our previous shows, but we were talking about how awesome our kids have been sleeping and some of the things we've been doing. You want to share a little bit about that? It's crazy, right?
Yeah. It's funny. I'm glad they're both sleeping right now, so I can do this. But yeah, they're are they 9 weeks old today? 8 weeks old?
I think almost 9, maybe. 2 months.
Yeah. Anyway, they're sleeping like between 8 and 12 hours consistently every night, and people don't know what to do with that. I mean, we had no idea. We've never had babies, but I did know that didn't sound pretty normal to have little newborns sleeping that much that early on. I think you mentioned in the last show, but yeah, we've been doing, I always get the IMRS and the Magnetico confused. We have a Magnetico on our bed, right?
Right. We have the Magnetico mattress pad, and we don't even have the full system. We got the scaled down version of it. But we got that.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And that emits like a magnetic field. It's got, I think it's like 300 pounds of magnets that you're sleeping on. It's crazy, huh?
Shoot. Yeah, we started that when I was pregnant, actually, and I feel like had I not had it, I probably would have even had a harder time with that pregnancy. But we have that going on along with the rest shield, which is like a pyramid how do you explain it? It puts out what would you describe it as?
So according to the work of Ken Rolla, it puts out a scalar frequency, which doesn't eliminate electromagnetic fields and wireless radiation or 5G, but what it does is it somehow puts that radiation or puts those frequencies into like a more parallel shape so that it's more able to be recognized by your body. So it mitigates it
Okay.
apparently through this changing of the shape of the wavelengths. And so it emits like this scalar frequency. And if you look up scalar frequencies, you can do a lot of research on what scalar frequencies do, and the sacred pyramid shape. And then he's got copper and all this stuff infused into it. And you plug it in, and it emits a scalar frequency, I think, up to 50 feet in all directions. So it also
Yeah.
helps with 5G and wireless and all that kind of stuff. And so we have that sitting right next to our bed. Both those items are in our store, but it's crazy, isn't it?
I know. I see. I wouldn't have described it like you. That was much more scientific. But
Well, I don't know.
yeah. So we have the pad. We have the pyramids. They're obviously being breastfed. They're only on breast milk. There's no formula involved, which I think is huge for them. Um, I'm doing a lot of things with my diet that I think they're getting in the breast milk, which helps too. So I
Uh
think
huh.
it kind of knocks them out. I think there's
Uh
a lot
huh.
of good, like really rich milk, which I think helps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the huge thing is that I think you're onto is the light. We don't have any blue light in our house, and if we do, it's turned off at night. We don't expose the kids to it. We take them on a long walk right before we put them down for the night, and we shield them from like basically we have a couple lights in here that the bulbs are the red bulbs, and
Mm-hmm.
I swear I think it just does something to their nervous system and just shuts them down, and then
Mm-hmm.
melatonin is produced, and they sleep like rock stars. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's been pretty crazy. I think one of the things that we do, a couple other things that we do too, is we make sure to get our kids out in the sun in the
that's right.
morning. So in the morning sun is when your body, the UVA and the UVB and the far infrared rays of the sun actually help create melanin in the body and helps to create melatonin in the body, helps to create melanin in the skin. So if you want to avoid getting burned by the sun, then the biggest thing you could do is go into the sun in the first morning sun of the day, the sunrise, and that's when your body's going to build that melanin. But it also does a whole host of other things too, like it creates melatonin in the body, which helps to go to sleep. And I mean, melatonin is one of those things where it's like people think, oh, it's the sleep hormone, but it actually does over 2,000 different. It has 2,000 different functions, like vitamin
Is
D
it
is
really?
like that too. Yeah, there's so many things that melatonin does outside of sleep because it's a master hormone. And so you build melatonin in the morning by being exposed to the UVA and UVB rays and far infrared rays of the sun. And so we've been making sure to do that, getting them in the sun. I mean, not very long, like what, 5 or 10 minutes we do,
At the
sort of,
yeah.
yeah, all spaced throughout the day. And that helps to build melatonin. And then they're not being exposed to blue light at all, and we're such
Right.
sticklers about it, right? We're like, cover their eyes if they're going to go through an area where there's light.
Yeah, because we go in through the garage, like we'll walk them in the stroller. We come back in the garage, and there's just one little light bulb in the garage. It's pretty normal, but we're like, oh gosh, and we like hide their faces and bring them in the house real quick and put them in their bed. And I swear, I think it makes a difference. I think you're onto something.
Yeah, it's for sure helping. And I don't know if the
Yeah.
Magnetico combined with not exposing them to blue light, combined with we are exposing them to full spectrum biophotons from the sun rays, along with the walk, along with your breast milk. I don't know. We're just lucky right now. I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe it's all the work that we're doing. Maybe we're just very blessed, but our kids are sleeping
Yeah.
like 10 and 12 hours a night. It's crazy.
It, it's super crazy. There's a couple things that when we were talking about this came to mind. One was when we went on a little coffee date the other day when my folks were here,
Uh huh.
and we ran into people that had twins, and it was really interesting because you don't know, like, until you start talking to somebody, that they're even on the same page at all, and maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but in that conversation we said something about like, so when does it get easier with twins, or what's the part where you realize it was going to be okay or whatever. And the dad said, remember, he's like, they take naps regularly, which you can always count on, now that they're almost 2 or whatever, and we can get our stuff done at that time. But he goes, we're really careful to put them to bed when the sun goes down and get them when the sun goes up. He's like, and he used the phrase circadian rhythm, and we were both really surprised.
I know, right?
Yeah, and I thought there is something like it's cool just in an average conversation with a random stranger to hear him say that, and it made us think he was pretty turned on to,
Mm-hmm.
their kids sounded like they were sleeping like champs too, and that was just from what he said is like just going with the natural cycle of the sun and the moon, and just being a normal sleeper, I guess, and
I know.
riser.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think
So that's really
part
cool.
of the issue with a lot of kids not sleeping is maybe wireless radiation, and that's what the Magnetico and the Rest Shield is working on. Is those frequencies, non-native EMFs, and sleeping in a magnetic field, I'm sure, is having a really awesome benefit to their nervous system. Um, and
Yeah, yeah.
so is Coco next to you?
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Do you see her?
How did I know that was Coco? It wasn't even. I didn't
That's
even
so
see her.
funny. How did you know?
I just know because she's such a love bug. Like she'll always. Oh, there's Charlie. Oh gosh.
Charlie.
Yeah, and so, that's what those things are working on, the Magnetico and the scalar energy rest shield. So, and I think the light is a huge piece too. I think what happens is people just expose their kids to all this blue light at night, and I think it's probably having some kind of impact on them. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful. I tell everybody though, I'm just super, super grateful. I don't feel like it's luck, but I do feel like it's God, and then it's also things that we're doing. So,
Uh huh.
yeah, it makes, I mean, I think it makes this whole twin experience just, it hasn't been bad. I think I was prepared for the worst. For everybody to be like, oh gosh, get ready to have your life on shutdown for like 5 years, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it hasn't been that bad, really.
yeah. No, it's been a seamless transition. It's been challenging, of course, but it's been seamless so far, and I think
Yeah.
that's I don't know. I think that's surprising a little bit, but kind of not. And I just think that we're just so blessed. I mean, we're so blessed to have these kids doing so well, and they're healthy and they're strong. And even though we had a type of birth that we didn't want to have, um, you know,
Right.
you got to mitigate that stuff. It was like someone in our chat room the other day. I was sharing some stuff about the dangers of mammograms, and she said, "Oh no, I just had a mammogram." And yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
Do.
so it's like, we there are ways to mitigate all this stuff, and that's what we have
Yeah.
to do.
And the stress about having had done something you didn't know or didn't want to do, I think that can be worse sometimes to beat yourself up than to just move on. And when you know better, you do better, like Oprah says.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah,
Sometimes when you know better, though, like sometimes when you know better and you still choose to do something else, it's still having grace for yourself. So I think that there's like a really fine line.
yeah. You mean so you don't want to constantly beat yourself up, right?
Yeah, no matter what you do. I mean, sometimes you do have all the facts and you still choose to do something anyway, and it might not be ideal, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, we all do things at times. Like, I mean, I knew during, like I've said, during the pregnancy, I had to take Advil a few times or Tylenol, and it's like I hadn't taken that in 15 years or something crazy. But um, I knew what it would, it wasn't a good thing. But sometimes it's like, man, was I going to function that day without it? Was I going to be in so much pain that, emotionally I would be crying all day because I just didn't have the edge taken off. So I think there's sometimes when you do know better and you still do it, and then you just have to have grace for yourself.
We should call it extreme health forgiveness.
Dude, right? We
Yeah.
all need a little more. But
If you guys have any questions for us in the chat room, let us know. Let us know. Let's see who we got here. Um, oh, Jill 5616. That was you with the mammogram. Wow. Yeah.
oh, nice. Yeah. Well, Jill, forgiveness.
That's what it's all about. T says, thanks for the link of John Taylor Gatto. That interview is fantastic. Yeah, T, that
Yeah.
interview. Kate, have you seen that interview yet with John Taylor Gatto?
No, and I feel like I have talking to you all these years and hearing you, explain things to me, but no, I have not seen it, and I feel really silly that I haven't watched it.
Yeah, you know what?
But great,
What's that?
but forgiveness and grace for myself.
That's right. That's that's right.
I'm just
Let
kidding.
me let me share it in the chat room again. It's John Taylor Gatto. Um, yeah, it's if you search John Taylor Gatto 5-hour interview, it comes up, and it was really really good. It's actually 5 hours and 47 minutes, so it's almost a full
That's
6-hour long interview, and he goes into the schooling system, and he goes into all of the like how our educational system was set up, and the actual motivation behind the Rockefellers and behind the JP Morgans and all of those people setting up our schooling system. And man, it is creepy stuff when you start getting into all that stuff. Oh my gosh, like you start
I
learning
really want
why.
to watch.
Oh man, and he's so knowledgeable, and he just quotes all these references and these books, and you can tell he's like a scholar through and through, and it's pretty creepy, pretty creepy.
Speaking of, I'm gonna put a link. Let me see. I'm just copying something for those that are interested. I have so many friends that are homeschooling.
Uh-huh.
Dude, hold on. It didn't let me. It says remove any web addresses. Okay.
Hello,
Um,
G Voss and T Hughley. That's awesome. That was worth my time. Awesome.
nice. Let
Yeah.
me try Command V. Did that work?
Can you put a link in the chat room or no? Maybe it won't let you.
I just did and it won't let me. But anyway, it's a website called bewildandfree.org.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really cool site with tons and tons of not only support, but you can get like bundles and things and get magazine they have all about like these really cool ways to let your kids learn how they want to learn and also have like this support around you. It's cool. It says our desire is to give our children a quality education, but also to preserve the adventure, freedom, and wonder of childhood. It's like the coolest site I've ever seen on homeschooling and unschooling and things like that, letting your kids learn how they are supposed to be learning. It's really cool for anyone who's interested.
That's cool. Can you see it on the screen right now?
Yeah, cool. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, beautiful homeschool community. So what is this? A desire to give our children a quality education, but also preserve this adventure freedom. So what is this? Is this something that we could do with our twins?
Oh yeah, and I have it saved on my computer because I've known about it for the last couple of years, and I was like just waiting to have kids one day to be able to like put this into play. But I don't know how I found it, but man, it's a beautiful site. Not only is it beautiful, but it is so full of just awesome resource. And I think it's a little bit of a fee every month, but you can get different bundles of different learning resources and things. But you can also just like they give you all these free ideas in their magazine about what to do with your kids. They offer like family camps. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen when it came to homeschooling, because I was homeschooled for just 2 years and did not have the best experience. And it wasn't anyone's fault. I wanted it. I chose it. My mom was sweet enough to give it a shot. But it's not like homeschooling is now. Things are so different and so much like cooler. And they have, yeah, I think you're on that page right now where they have all kinds of conferences for moms or even there's
Yeah.
some stuff for men that are working with their children. It's this whole movement going on of how to do school different if you're interested in still doing school. I just think for anyone who's interested in this, they should really, really, really check this out.
Is this recognized by any states?
I
Like,
don't know.
can you go through this? Like, I wonder if you could go through this with your kids and not have to. Okay, so you can download some of these bundles, and they're like, so these bundles are like lesson plans or something?
I think they give you lesson plans. Again, I don't know if it's like an accredit. I don't know. I haven't really. It's so funny because we're still like 5 years out or 6 years out from doing school if we decide to even do any kind of school.
Right, right.
Um, because there's the whole unschooling thing people might want to look into too. But um, I don't know if it's noticed by people that need to be noticed by, or if it's just more you're off doing your own thing and you just have the support. I don't know, but it's really really cool.
It's so crazy. For those that haven't seen the show that we did with Stephanie Seneff, it was weird because it just kind of it came to me when I was talking with her about how there's three things like what these people were talking about when it comes to cancer and autism and all of these childhood diseases and problems kids are having. And they were saying the three things that are causing most likely the autism are not just vaccines, because everyone thinks vaccines to begin with, but
Right.
it's the vaccines combined with non-native EMF, wireless communication, wireless radiation, blue light, all of this stuff that's non-native to our environment. So it's EMF combined with vaccines, combined with glyphosate. And it just occurred to me that at almost every public school, whether it's a high school or elementary school or junior high, you're going to have all three of those components, because you're going to have the grounds that are going to be sprayed with glyphosate, right? Like that guy that just sued Monsanto.
Right.
And then you have glyphosate sprayed all over the campus. And then you have non-native EMF in the form of all this blue light that they're exposed to indoors, as well as radiation coming from cell phones and their tablets and all that kind of stuff. And then the
Right.
dirty electricity in the walls and the wireless that's going through the school. And then almost every school has like a nurse, right, that will give a kid some kind of flu shot, or they'll get their vaccines. And so it's like, aside from just the content of what they're going to learn at a school, whether or not that's a good thing or not, the very fact of them just being there physically, even if they're deaf and they're blind and they couldn't see or hear anything, regardless of anything that they're actually taught, the environment that they're in it's set up for the kids to fail. Like, it's crazy to me that people just keep sending their kids to school. I mean, it's just, I don't understand it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I was saying in the chat room the other day when you were mentioning this, like, it's just crazy to require the vaccines to even go to the place that most kids don't even want to go to.
oh, right, yeah.
You know, like even if you're not getting a shot or flu shot at the school from a school nurse, like to get into the school, you have to, at least in California, here where we live, it's like you have to have the vaccines to even go there. And I mean, if you poll 9 out of 10 kids, I don't think they really want to be in school, first of all.
I know, right?
And there's something about that I get sad about. It's just like we have these little babies, you know, and it's like they want to be on you. They want to be held. They want to be like, the minute that they're crying and you pick them up, they get soothed. There's something that they know. They're super intelligent and like how they feel protected and safe. And um, I don't think that changes for second, third, or fourth grader. Like they still want to be with their family. They want to be with their mom. Like I remember going to school. Like you and I both weren't big fans of school, you know.
No.
Um, I know, I didn't like it at all. I
Yeah.
remember being in second grade, you know, with my sack lunch, going to school, and we'd all go out on the blacktop and sit at the tables, and I'd pull out my lunch. And the only thing that made me feel secure is every single day in my lunch, my mom would write me a note,
Oh,
and I'd look forward to it and I'd feel like it was okay. I read my mom's writing, and she'd say, you know, something so silly like, "Enjoy your sandwich. I love you. I can't wait to see you after school. Love, Mom." You know,
yeah, something
and
simple.
simple. And it wasn't, you know, but I just thought, okay, my mom feels like she's with me. I'm at this place I don't want to be, but okay, now it's lunch and I can get through the rest, and then she's going to come get me. And it felt really
Hmm.
secure just knowing that, you know, my mom felt like she was with me at lunch every day or something. And I thought, gosh, I felt that made me feel like then I didn't feel safe at school, you know, like
Right.
it didn't make me feel secure. It didn't make me feel like good. I think I liked learning. I liked my friends. I liked recess. I liked eating, but I didn't like feeling like I was stuck in a classroom with some teacher, you know, that wasn't my mom. It felt really foreign to me. I didn't like it, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's I don't think it's a good place. I don't think it sets kids up for success. It programs them on so many different levels too. And then you have the bullying aspect of kids being bullied in school, and then you have supposedly these mass shootings that happen. And you know, I'm not convinced that all those things are real, but even if they were real, then, or if they are real, then you have all of that to deal with as well. And then you have the, you know, what they're being taught, like sex education, if that's something that people don't want to have taught to their kids, or they're taught, you know, submission to authority for the sake of certainty. You know, they sit there and they have to raise their hand in order to go to the bathroom. I mean, you have to raise your hand and ask some authority figure if you can actually have a bodily function. It's crazy.
So crazy.
It's like
And they can
crazy.
tell you no. Like who tells somebody no?
I know, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you were in my sophomore math class, like he'd always say yes, but you had to carry an ironing board with you. Do you remember me telling you that story?
No, what did you have to do?
He was awesome, Mr. Smith. He was my math teacher in sophomore year of high school.
Uh-huh.
Um, he would never tell you no, you can't go to the bathroom, because I think he thought that was a joke. But when you did go, you had to stand up and you had to go over to the like by the door, and there was a giant, you know, a regular size ironing board. You know how big those things are?
Yeah.
It would like fold up and whatever, and you'd have to carry that thing like a surfboard under your arm and go to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, no way.
You had to be serious about going to the bathroom. Like you'd have to carry that thing like down the hill and back up. And it's like, I think it was smart on his part to kind of like weed out the people who are just like, I'm going to go to my locker and hang out, because he would make you take this thing with you and you'd have to walk around with it. So it was
Oh,
pretty
that's so
funny.
funny. Yeah, and you couldn't like run around or do anything crazy because you had to carry this whole big thing.
Right. And then the like campus security would probably be like, why is that guy taking off with a you know, board? And he'd expect it back because it was a big deal. You got up and everybody knew you were going to go get the board and leave and come back. So it's like people would be waiting for you. So you couldn't be gone that long, you know?
Yeah. That's
It
so
was
funny.
funny. But yeah, like And then you and I were saying the other day, we live right behind a school. I think it's kindergarten through seniors, actually. It's a private school, but we can hear from our house the bell go off, or the announcement, the loudspeaker when they do the Pledge of Allegiance every day, or they say, "Hey, recess is over, everybody come." And like, those kids are just running, like at the sound of a bell or the sound of an announcement. And you and I were saying, like, it sounds so Hunger Games, that movie where you all of a sudden hear this announcement in the sky and everybody's watching this TV thing, and like,
Oh, it's so
it's just
crazy.
weird. It's like you said, it's creepy. It's conditioning people like a prison system to just like run and be this good little person and like stand in a line and conform. I don't know. It's weird.
It's really weird. And like, I'll be out in front of the house or in the backyard and I'll hear that girl's voice. It's that same girl. And I don't know who she is or what, but she's like, telling people these big announcements, or she's like making them do the Pledge of Allegiance. And, the whole thing is like, it's all this stuff that's taught to us that's assumed to be true, but it's never like the
Right.
nuance is never taught. Like people aren't taught like what the difference is between the United States and the United States of America, but yet you're pledging allegiance to a flag. And what does allegiance mean? And how come you're
Mhm.
having to pledge that allegiance to a flag? And what does the flag mean? Like if you get into all the detail of what the flag means, like the dimensions of the flag, the amount of space that's in between, like the amount of space that the red, white, and blue, the red stripes, like
Uh-huh.
all of those space, like that amount of thickness, it actually means something. Like there's meaning to every little nuance of the flag, and the fact that the flag is a certain size and a certain ratio and a certain color and certain proportional dimensions. Like all of that stuff has meaning, but
Gosh.
we don't. Not, no one ever looks into it, so we just think, oh, let's just pledge allegiance to the flag. And it's just, the whole thing is so crazy to me. Like it's
It's
so
still kind of
cryptic.
creepy though. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, even if you don't know what it is, the fact that a whole stadium full of people is willing to just get up and like, it's like you're a bunch of robots, like
Yeah.
automatons. Like I never thought of like what I was doing. You just felt like you were at a baseball game eating hot dogs and Slurpees, and you're like, this feels American. It feels patriotic. It feels, so you're like connected to a feel of something. But we all rattle off the Pledge of Allegiance like drones. Like you're just
It's
like
weird.
this. Yeah, I don't know.
Remember that time we were driving up to Lake Tahoe like 4 or 5 years ago, and we were listening to an interview with, what is his name? What is that guy's name that we listened to? Ah, gosh, I
Oh, I
forget.
know who you're talking about.
He was talking about.
Oh, I so
Ah,
know. Let me think.
yeah, I forget what his name was, but he was basically talking about how the world really works, and he was talking about like when the kids are, outside. If like the father has a bunch of his associates over to the house, and they're all going to talk business and talk, strategy and talk about things that are really important. What do they always do? They always tell all their kids like, go outside and play ball. Go play
Right,
ball. Stay busy. Stay focused on something that doesn't matter. Go play ball and
right,
let us important adults take care of what's really going on inside, and let us take care of business. And that's what happens with sports. And I think it's so crazy that like you tie this nationalism into any sport at all. Like I think it's just, to me
or
it's
any
bizarre.
concert, like,
Yeah.
especially country music. They're like the most American patriotic thing you can get. I love country music, but I'm like, gosh, like you go to a country music show. I'm not here to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm here to hear your music.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's so weird. It gets really weird.
It
It's really
does.
weird.
It does. Yeah, the whole thing is weird, and it's oddly, bizarrely tied to
Yeah.
sports and keeping people busy and not focus on what really matters. And I used to be a huge Laker fan. You know this, Kate. Huge
Mhm.
Laker basketball fan. And when I heard that, when I heard him say that, I thought, man, that's so true. They're trying to keep everyone distracted and keep everyone busy and keep everyone not focused on what's really going on, and
Right.
just trying to keep them, busy and quiet, and
Right.
get rid of them.
Go outside and play ball. It's true. I mean, it's like, I don't know what could be more. I don't know. It's like the whole, and children, that makes me mad too. It's like, the whole children should be seen and not heard thing. Like, kids are smart and they're intelligent and they have a lot to say. And when you're just told to go outside and play ball and just be dismissed, there's so many things wrong with that.
I know, right?
Besides the fact of what you just said, trying to keep everybody busy. That's they're not thinking with their brains.
Yeah, because if you look at everyone, I mean, everyone is watching some kind of TV or some kind of movie or some kind of, the TV shows these days are more like movies. And so people are
Right.
being super distracted with that stuff, and people don't have time to focus on things in their life that matter. People don't have time to focus on their own, self-care. Like, we don't even know how to take care of ourselves. We don't even understand how to eat food. Like, these basic things, like, you can get into all the things that we don't know how to do as an adult, like balance a checkbook, balance money, understand where money comes from, understanding where government comes from, understanding our own rights, understanding, so many different things and aspects in our life of how we need to live, like how to hunt for food or how to take care of ourselves. Like, so many things we don't know how to do. And we all got here, from the educational system. So what is that system teaching us? It's teaching us, like,
Right.
this useless stuff. Like, I've talked about before how, like, if someone wanted to create like a course on something really, really simple, like a really simple idea, like maybe knitting or something like that, where it's super simple,
Yeah.
like, you could create a course on that. Like, you could just show someone how to knit, right? Like, you could just show them in a matter of an hour how to do all the techniques properly. But if you want to create a
Right.
whole course, it would be like, okay, I'm gonna tell you the history of knitting. I'm gonna tell you different fabrics to use. I'm gonna tell you where those fabrics come from. I'm gonna tell you all the amazing people who have knitted things, and I'm gonna teach you a whole course on what types of things you can knit. Then I'm gonna teach you a whole course on the fabrics you can use to knit with, and and where knitting is going. You could make a whole course that's it's the most basic thing, just teaching someone how to knit. But that's what the school system does. It creates all this extra fluff about topics that don't need to be discussed,
Yeah.
so that they can watch your, kids for 12 years. It's weird.
Well, they're the ones raising your kids. That's the scary thing,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's funny having kids now. It's like, I mean, I thought of this stuff before, but now it's so much more real. You're like, who's in charge of your kids? Like, even though it's ultimately not you, because they're, we're owned by the state and the government basically, but
Right, right.
you'd like to think that you're like, we are their parents and we have, we're going to fight for them and whatever. But like, in general, it is a trip that, like, we belong to a greater entity, and it's trying to fight that and bring back some sort of like normalcy to like what life should be. This is crazy. I
I
mean,
know, it's nuts, right?
we're the ones raising it. We should be the ones involved in our kids' lives, and some teachers, we don't even know what the heck they're teaching them. But
I know, right? Do you need to
and
go check Will, or is that Will or Ben?
it's Will. I'm gonna go grab him and bring him out.
Okay, cool.
Ray was really cool. Ray Camposo in the chat said this show should be mainstream news. Y'all are spot on. I said, thanks, Ray.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Tina, do you mean indoctrinate our kids? It's true. It's not teaching our kids. It's indoctrination. It's exactly what it is. But
Yeah, it's totally,
let me
totally.
go grab baby Will. I'll bring him
Okay.
right back.
Okay, should I mute you or should I?
No, I'll just bring him out. He'll be okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so let me see what you guys are talking about in the chat room. A lot of cool people in here, a lot of cool stuff going on. Sorry, this is kind of an impromptu show. We didn't have notes or anything planned for this. So this is kind of like a AMA, Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions for us, for the show, for the direction of the show, maybe about the Extreme Health Academy, maybe about some of our products or some of the upcoming guests, let me just do a little blurb about our upcoming guests, because we got some cool guests coming up that I want to share with you guys, and you guys can take a look and be a part of those shows if you want. Frank Shallenberger was supposed to be today, but we're going to be talking with Angel Hawerton very soon about healing stage 4 uterine cancer naturally. Then we're going to be talking with Dr. Kayla Daniel. She's going to be talking about the secrets of detoxification. And that's the name of the game, my friends, is detoxification. Detoxification is more important than the food that we eat. It's super important. We're going to be talking with Dr. Thomas Cowan about vaccines and autoimmunity. So that is going to be, whatever you do, don't miss this show right here. This is, I think, September 10th. Don't miss this show with Dr. Thomas Cowan. Share it with your friends, because this is going to be huge. I've listened to a few of his interviews recently about his new book, which he was kind enough to send to us. So we'll be talking with him. And it's not just another interview about like why vaccines are bad. We're going to get into the whole aspect of the immune system that is called the cellular response arm of the immune system. There's two aspects. One is the cellular response arm, and the other is your body's ability to create white blood cells and to mount an immune response. But the first arm of the immune system is the cellular response arm. So what happens when you don't allow a child to go through chicken pox, measles, mumps, rubella? What happens when you don't allow them to get a fever? And so he's got some crazy evidence that he's going to be sharing, and that's going to be a good show. Ian Jacklin, we're going to be talking about the natural approach to healing cancer. He's an actor, and he's doing a lot of cool work with documentaries and stuff. And then Dr. William Wong, we'll be talking with him about hormones, strength, and sexuality. So that's going to be a lot of fun to have these shows. So if you haven't subscribed, if you guys are watching now, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and that way you can get access and get notified when we do go live, because that's going to be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:45 a.m. Pacific time. We'll do a live show, and we'll probably end up going live and do like an AMA, Ask Us Anything, if a guest cancels or reschedules or doesn't make it like today. So a lot of cool guests coming up, and I think it's going to be cool to learn more about all this kind of stuff. And let me see what's going on in the chat room. Lots of cool people here, amazing people. T. Huey, you mean indoctrinate our kids? Yeah, that's right. I'm so impressed by Justin. He's like an encyclopedia of knowledge, firing on all cylinders. I don't know about that. We all have different. Ray, thank you for the compliment, but thank you for saying that. But we all have our own different things that we are experts in, and makes for the best show. Can you give me some details on the Academy? Yeah, Ray, it's the Academy. Let me put a link in the chat room real quick. The Academy is, so we had a lot of things happening over the years with our show, and our show is, we talk a lot about theory and research, and we talk a lot about the general theories of health, but a lot of times in our show, what happens is that we don't really get into the real details, the finer details, the nuances, how do I apply this, particular healing modality to my life? Like, how do I actually implement this? And that's what we're doing inside the Extreme Health Academy. So we release courses every single month with Dr. John Bergman, and we're also going to be doing courses with other people as well. So we're going to be reaching out to a lot of the friends that we've made over the years who have been on Extreme Health Radio and do like super in-depth courses about like cancer, about all of the diseases out there, arthritis, autoimmune diseases, like the cutting edge stuff. So I don't know about you, but whenever I go and I see or hear someone talk about something, I'll think to myself like, okay, so they're doing something really great here, but they're not bringing in the light piece, how blue light affects all of this, or they're not bringing in the spiritual component to this, or they're completely missing this, that, or the other thing. And so what we're trying to do in the Extreme Health Academy, what we are doing is bringing all of the aspects of health and healing to the table so that you could say, okay, this resonates with me, this doesn't. I could do the blue light stuff. I could block all of that. I could do the spiritual, emotional stuff. I could do 50% of the physical stuff. And that way we're giving you like the most well-rounded approach to healing that you could possibly get, because like I said before, there's a lot of people just missing so much. Like I hear things and I think to myself, on a physical level, it's impossible to know everything about every disease and what area of natural healing can help every disease, right? So like every supplement, every herb, everything, we're building a database for all of that stuff. And so it's, it's really important to bring everything possible to the table. Like, for example, like you could listen to a whole thing someone might do on Lyme disease, but are they talking about rife frequency? Are they talking about frequency generators? These are like tools that we have access to, frequency generators and rife machines, sound therapy. Like these are some of the most cutting edge tools. Do a search if you guys want to learn more about rife. Do a search on YouTube for Truth Stream Media, all one word. That's the name of the channel, Truth Stream Media, and Royal Rife, and you'll learn a whole ton about what he was up to. But or ozone therapy. We're going to talk with Dr. Shallenberger today. Like, how do we utilize and bring ozone, or chiropractic care, physical adjustments, psychological training, and success habits. Like, all of these things are a piece of the pie, piece of the puzzle for you to use in your healing. And it's not just one thing. It's not just ozone. It's not just spiritual, emotional. It's not just the biophysics, which is the light piece. It's everything combined together, because ultimately at the end of the day, if we don't have enough self-love for ourselves to want to take care of ourselves, then it doesn't matter how many healing modalities you know about. If you don't do them, they don't work, right? And so what happens is, when you start doing these things, you start changing on a deeper, much deeper level than on just a physical level, because the whole natural healing area is focused on the physical side, the biological side, and that's where our culture is focused on, is the physics, the biology, the DNA, the genes, all this stuff is where we're focused. And so realizing there's other modalities that you've never heard of, like we just did a show on urine therapy. Like, who would think to use urine therapy, or who would think to use bee venom therapy? We just did a show on bee venom therapy. Who would think to use these modalities to help your body heal? But you can use all of them. And that's the cool thing. It's like, in today's world, if you go to a doctor, all they have for you are drugs, pharmaceutical medications, aka drugs, but those are the good drugs, right? Those are the drugs that are okay for you to take. So all they have for you are drugs and surgery. And if you have cancer, if your body has cancer, chemotherapy. But that's it,
Well, and strange recommendations. Like, was it the other day I had a couple girlfriends over for some wine and things at night?
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Yeah, and one of them is visiting from out of town, and her body has been diagnosed with lupus.
Uh-huh.
And she lives down in Mexico and has, a doctor down there that she sees or whatever. But they told her, so basically she doesn't know anything about natural health. And I said something like, well, she said they don't know what causes it. And I said, okay, And she goes, yeah, but I'm having a flare up right now. And I said, well, does food affect your flare up? And she goes, well, not really. I mean, it doesn't seem to. When I found out I was diagnosed with lupus, I changed my diet and I started actually eating fruit and vegetables for the first time, which was crazy. But she said, yeah, but their other recommendation is I have to be really careful. I have to wear sunscreen around the clock. And she said indoors, they told her to wear sunscreen. When she obviously goes outside, sunscreen and long sleeves. Like, it's just so different from everything we're learning about how healing the sun is and, all this stuff. But
right.
So she literally slathers sunscreen on herself around the clock, even inside. And when she sleeps, she says if she doesn't take a shower, she just goes to bed with that sunscreen on. And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
who are these doctors telling you these weird things, Like,
I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy too.
It's so odd.
Yeah, and the fact that she's got those chemicals on her skin all the time, blocking all of the beneficial aspects of the biophotons. There's 1,500 different wavelengths in the sun. And there's like 10 to the 46th power of different frequencies in the sun. These are all like absorbed by our photoreceptors in our skin. This is all information. This is where we build energy and ATP. We don't do it through food. But yet someone like her will block all of that with sunscreen. It's just unreal.
Yeah, so the doctor's not even saying, take this drug or do this surgery, but hey, stay out of the sun. They're giving weird advice. They're so uneducated. They don't know anything,
Uh-huh. Well, one of the things that we talked about. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no.
No, well, one of the things that we talked about is where it's the languaging that people have that I think needs to be at the top of the list in terms of changing our life. I need to work on it myself. But the first step is recognizing the language that people are using is disempowering. But all of the words that we use have power and have meaning. And so when she said to you, I remember she said, oh, they don't know what causes this, right? Remember that?
They don't know. Right, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because you and I were talking about this, and we were saying that it's so crazy how she'll use the word they, but if I kind of gave the example of like, if a crime were to happen in Sacramento, California, the cops would be the ones that would sort of take care of it, right? The police department. But if you went to the cops in New York City and asked them about the crime that happened in in Sacramento, they wouldn't know anything about it, right? They'd be like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know about this crime. Well, it depends on who they are, because when she says, like, if you said, oh, but then after that, if you said, oh, the cops don't know anything about that crime, they don't
The
know anything
local,
about it. Yeah, but it
right?
depends, like, which cop are you talking about? But when she
Yeah.
says, like, they don't know, no one knows the answer why I have this disease, she's using they to describe everyone. But in reality, they is only describing maybe 1/10 of the amount of different types of doctors out there that could actually know something.
Right,
So like
right.
medical doctors don't know everything, but when she says, oh, they don't know why I have this disease, it's it's like you're barking up the wrong tree. They don't know, but there are people that do, you know.
Right. Well, and that cracks me up because it's one doctor in this case. It's not even like a group of doctors. She sees one person, and that's the problem. And that's like talking to your mom. I'm not trying to throw her under the bus or anything, but like a lot of times people go to one doctor thinking one doctor knows the whole body, the whole medical, like whatever.
Uh-huh.
And that doctor says they don't know something, then it becomes a they don't know. And that's one doctor. It's not even like a group of 10 doctors.
I know, it's
And even a
crazy.
group of 10 knows nothing. I mean, we've interviewed like 500 people on this show, and we're realizing no one knows everything and no one hardly knows anything, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's true, because these
I,
people, you know, everyone wants to be an authority and everyone wants to have all the answers, but in actuality, we're all just grasping in the wind. We're all just realizing there's something I was just learning recently about. What was it? I think you were on the chat during this time where we just figured out there's some chemical reaction in the body that they just figured out, and it's like 2018 and we just figured this out.
oh, yeah, I
What
was
was
in the
that?
chat.
It's
Um,
crazy. Yeah, I mean, we know so little about what actually is going on in the body, but people want to think they have all the answers, and sometimes it's a
yeah.
multi-layered approach to overcoming any kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's one of those conversations where people like she knew what we did, but not really, but wasn't about to ask them. Like, that's fine if you think your doctor like doesn't can't figure you out and you need to wear sunscreen 24 hours.
Right, right, right. I know that's crazy. Who do you got?
Another baby. Hold on. Oh,
Oh,
meltdown.
this is where twins becomes crazy. I'll mute her real quick. Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, our language has been hijacked, and that's one of the things that they do is they take over your language. They take over, any conquering nation will do this. They'll take over your language. They'll take away or they'll take over your language. They'll take over the banking system, the monetary supply. They'll take over the religion, and they'll take over the education. And so when you can start taking over those things and then add taking over the media as well, the news,
And the food supply.
and the food supply. Yeah. I mean, everything is controlled. And so, that's why it's hard to get the word out, but we got to do it. Right.
Yeah, right. I know. I think the time that I was the most like concerned and kind of scared is when you think, oh, well, I still have control of my food. I can have a backyard garden. They can't do that if they have all these other controlled areas in my life. Like they can't get my food. But then like around here, they were requiring everybody who had a fruit tree to be sprayed, and then they put a tag on it. Do you remember that?
I do. Whatever happened with that? What
It was
happened there?
a citrus outbreak of some disease or something, and they said if you have any kind of fruit tree, and basically it was scary because they kind of knew if you had them. Like I don't know if they were flying drones over people's yards or whatever, but I remember in our old neighborhood they would come around and they would even knock on doors and have their little clipboards and say we need to make sure your tree is sprayed for I forget what kind of infestation thing it was, but then they put this tag on your tree saying you're safe and they move on. But I'm like, gosh, like you can't even own your own backyard. It just blows my mind.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah. People
I don't know.
think, well, I think the problem is people think they own things, and that's
Yeah.
really, I mean, that's a problem on like a legal, physical level, and just living in the world. But then it's also a problem on a spiritual level too, because when we own things, we feel like we're attached to them, and we think that they are part of us and we're part of it. That's why people have such an issue with cleaning out their house and getting rid of clutter, because they have this emotional attachment to something they think they own.
Right.
It's crazy. Like our kids, we think we own our kids, but the state really owns our kids because we gave them a birth
Yeah.
certificate.
Right.
Um,
Like we were saying earlier, it's a bummer. You don't want to like when it comes to something so you want to be attached to. It's not a good feeling, but
yeah. Like
you know.
the only thing that we own really is our thoughts, because our bodies are also owned by the state as well, and so are our houses, and so is everything we have we own, or they own.
You know, it's funny that you said that. Remember we were driving home the other day and you said, like, what did you say? What percentage that you think of? We were talking about like what percentage of our bodies and our thoughts are even us.
Oh, right.
So that's weird that we think we own our thoughts, but we were talking about like how much of us is parasites and how much of us is bacteria and how much of us is programming. Like how much is actually an original thought to us as a person, or an original like how much are we actually us? It's just very slight, I think.
Yeah, I think they were saying that, we have, 90% of the cells that make up our body aren't even ours. They're bacteria and fungus and mold and viruses and all these other things, these entities that aren't even us. So then you start thinking, okay, well, what thought? If I have a thought, like, is that me, or is that like a parasite thinking? Because we know that happens with people in their cravings, right? Their parasite can make them crave carbohydrates and sweets and all that kind of stuff. So, if I have a thought, is it an original thought? And then you bring in the whole aspect of, you may or may not agree with this or think that I'm right or whatever. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying that there's this aspect of past life. So, if you're bringing in that frequency, that vibration of a past life into your current reality, then, is that something that's actually part of you? So that thought or that little part of your, emotional makeup may not even be you either. So the essence of who you are is so little you when you start realizing that we're mostly other organisms and we're sharing an ecosystem, and we have at least enough of a mindset to be able to tend to that ecosystem. And that means keeping us healthy, right? Keeping all of the critters at bay, the ones that are pathogenic, and then keeping a good balance of the ones that do exist between the good and the bad. And so it's like this. Basically, we're enfolded gardens, but we're gardeners tending to an ecosystem, which is our body and our life, which is crazy,
That's a cool way to put it. I like that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's important that we understand that, but. Let's see if there's anybody chatting in the chat room. I always like.
Dr. Shallenberger's got nothing on us. We got babies.
We've got babies. We've got dogs. We've got a chat room full of people. Let's see. Rhea says, "I'm smiling and nodding. Academy sounds just like what I've been looking for, and homeschooled to boot. Yeah. The Academy's awesome. There's there's over 1,000 people in there, and we're all sharing in the forums and helping each other. And it's really cool, Ray. I think you'll really, really like it. Let me give you a coupon code. If you use EHR14, I'll give you free 14-day trial. So let me just pop that in there. This is the coupon code EHR14 if you want to check it out and learn more about it. Miss Vixen. I like the name, Miss Vixen. I'm interested in opening up a health and wellness spa. Did you ask earlier? You did it about if anyone can use the products you have in a health and wellness spa. Yeah, the products in our store, there's a lot of them that can be used in a health and wellness spa, right?
Right.
I
love hearing people doing stuff like that,
It's cool, right? Let me bring up one of our products here. This is a cool therapy that we've been using, the Juve red light therapy. And this is something that you could have at a health and wellness spa too. But check out this picture here. Is this guy who's surrounded by 4 panels of light. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool.
I know, right? And it comes in all these different sizes, and they just released a couple new products. But these are definitely products you can use in a wellness spa. And then the sauna. Oh, I want to let you guys know, we don't do this very often, but the sauna is on sale right now. We're doing a little flash Labor Day sale. So let me put a link to that. If you guys have been interested in that, email me and I'll give you the more specifics about the sauna. But let's see here. Yeah, that's the sauna page. Yeah, it's going to be $100 off the sauna and free shipping in the continental United States. So pretty cool.
Too shabby.
Yeah, it's a good sale. It's a good sale.
I know I always say this, but it is my favorite health tool we own. I love it. And now that I'm not pregnant, I can't wait to get back in that thing.
I know. I've been unable to do it for about a month, and I miss it like crazy. It's one of those things where, you know how if you work out, if you're a person that works out and you stop working out, it's only better, right? Like you just enjoy having that extra free time. You know, you're just excited that you don't have to work out. But with the sauna, it's totally the opposite for me. I miss it like crazy.
Yeah, me too. What, you haven't had any time? Newborn twins?
Newborn twins.
What's wrong with you?
I know. What happened?
Radio show? What's wrong with you?
I know.
I think you're late.
It's actually been okay though, because it's been so hot here lately anyway. So,
No.
yeah, it's been great. But yeah, so those are definitely what else is going on in the chat. Let's see if you guys have any questions, let us know.
Okay.
Oh gosh, it's going crazy.
I missed the question. Hold on.
G.
Go way back. V.
Oh yeah, keep going, Kate.
V said hello from San Antonio, but I missed V's question. Can you write it one more time? That would be helpful. We'll get to that. Said, sorry, they're bugging us with the question again, but can we answer the question above? But I didn't see it. So maybe V, could you send that time?
Yeah, I'm scrolling up too. I don't see it.
About headphones and EMF. Yeah, if you could send that right back, we'll answer that right away. God Save the Radio asked any thoughts on taking turpentine, which is so cool with Jennifer Daniels, and Ray jumped in on that one.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, we're going to be having Dr. Daniels on the show pretty soon, and we're going to have another conversation with her. So we'll be talking and digging deep into the turpentine, and that's something that we're actually going to do some content for the Academy, how to do it safely, where to get the turpentine, all of that stuff. But for those who don't know turpentine, you might think to yourself, oh, turpentine, like, you know, it's horrible, it's bad. It's got, if you go to the store, if you go to the hardware store, it's going to have skull and crossbones on it, right? But do you ever find it's interesting that anything that actually works and anything that actually has an impact on the body, that actually has a good impact, is actually the thing that they try to scare you the most about? They do the same thing with DMSO. You know, they actually went so far as to prevent health food stores from selling it. And now I just saw something recently. They're doing the same thing with colloidal silver. So they're putting all these they're putting all these warnings. Like if you go to Whole Foods, now that Whole Foods is owned by Amazon and Jeff Bezos, they're putting all these warnings on colloidal silver products that they don't treat any disease. They don't do this, that, or the other, because if something works, they just want it out of the marketplace. You know, they just, you know,
what are they saying? Like your head will fall off, or they're just saying like
for
it
what?
Just doesn't work, or you're responsible for
what? For the colloidal silver?
Silver. I mean, like, yeah, like how could they, like, what could be dangerous about it?
Well, it does if you take it too much. If you take the wrong kind too often, it can damage the internal gut flora of your body, and it can have an effect there. But you know, it's one of those things that has so many different beneficial impacts to the human body functions, in terms of killing pathogens and viruses and fungus, mold, yeast, all of those things. And so when something actually works, I mean, they want people to take medications. So, you know, it's like,
you know what I find is hilarious?
What's that?
I think it's so funny when there's a market that they have a really hard time touching. Like you might be able to all of a sudden do that with colloidal silver or DMSO, but like, you know, breastfeeding, how are they going to crack down on that, right? Because it's so beneficial to newborns and children, of like just to get their gut, you know, really healthy and their immunity build up.
Right.
It's not like they're going to be in everyone's house policing. Like you can't police breastfeeders, but I'm laughing that in the last couple of months, there's been all these articles like where the government, you know, whoever they are saying there's not much of a benefit to breastfed babies. And, you know, basically if you're not breastfeeding, it's okay because the kids aren't that much healthier anyway. And there might not, like, science is starting to prove that there's not really a benefit to it.
I love that science, right?
Science.
Yeah. Bowing down. Doesn't it crazy? Yeah,
I'm like, good try. And it's like, I see it a mile away and I'm laughing going, you might not be able to control it, but you're going to try to like put stuff out there disparaging against it. But I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so funny when they try to stick their hand where they're not welcome, you know? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, too, it's like when they can't control an industry, they'll control it through information. And, you know,
exactly.
they do that, and they do that through the media. And so you'll start hearing all these reports. Like you hear reports, you just heard a report the other day about how coconut oil is really damaging. Did you hear about that?
No, really?
Yeah, they're doing this whole thing, and it was, I mean, it's just every now and then, it's like a cycle. They come through and they try to disparage certain natural remedies because, these things, with the advent of the internet, people are getting information that's causing, probably pharmaceutical sales to go down because people are learning about, all of the effects of these drugs. And so like they don't want this stuff to get out. So if people start sharing information about what's actually in these pharmaceutical drugs, and people start realizing that, and then the next day some other piece of information comes out about silver and how silver is natural and can do the same thing as a drug, it's like you've just now undermined, you've cut out the product from that company, and then you've replaced it with something natural that they have no vested interest in. So it's like they have to do that because, if in a capitalistic world where money rules, then, they have to protect their profits. It's crazy.
It's still weird though. When I see stuff like that, I just laugh,
I know. Yeah.
Okay, so V rewrote the question. It's really good. Hold on. Here we go. I wanted to know if you know of a good set of headphones that block EMF from running into your ears through the headphone cables.
Yes, they are called, let me mute Kate's mic real quick. They are called, let me find where they are. You can get them on lessemf.com. And I know they have them there. Let me put a link in the chat room. We're actually connected up with them as well on Less EMF. You can support us by going through our link, but I'll just give you the straight link there in the chat room. But they're called, I forget the name of what they're called. I can't recall what their name, but they're called like something pod, like an AirPod, I think. And you can go through and search for, I think they're called AirPods. And so they use some other technology other than a wired frequency, which is what I'm using right now, to go into your ear. So that's something that I want to get. But I notice a big difference when I take these things out, especially doing an interview like this. Afterwards, it feels just really different in my ears.
Like how?
It just feels like there's a stress. Like I can feel it. I can feel these in my ear.
Really?
It feels like there's some frequency or something going into my ear. If you want to, here's something cool that you guys might like. If you guys are interested in, going through your ear canal, there's a product called Valkee, Valkee, or it's also known as Human Charger. And it's basically the same thing as an earbud, but it's not for listening to anything. It's for introducing light frequencies into your brain through your ear canal, which is pretty amazing. So if you're someone who like me, listens to a lot of stuff through an iPod speaker or something like that, like a wired thing like this, you might want to look at something like that to mitigate the damaging effects of EMF from using these things. So, yeah. Nice. I'll put a link to it. I think it's human. So many. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, no, say it. Human what?
I think it's called humancharger.com.
Okay.
I'll share a link in the chat room.
Yeah, I was just going to say how important it is. Like when you become aware of this stuff, like right now I'm holding baby Will and my laptop here is on the Defender Shield that we have because the Defender Pad, I don't even want him near something, like.
Right.
And I wanted, when I sat down, I'm like, oh, I'll show his little face. But I thought, babies aren't supposed to be looking at screens. We're not even supposed to really be looking at screens. Like,
right.
It's just, when you become aware of stuff, you do things totally different. But like, if I didn't have my laptop right now on this Defender Pad, I'd be super bummed out. It's just all these little things that I think add up to big things,
I know, right? Yeah, it's when you start realizing and start understanding just how far from nature we're living, it's really bizarre. Like spending so much time indoors and driving in cars. I mean, all of this stuff is, people are just now starting to actually measure the damaging effects of these things. And, we wonder why we're breaking down, you wonder why we're dying at 75 years old when we should be living a lot longer. It's crazy. Let's see. Is anybody in the chat room? Let's see. Kate, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you cut out, but I got you again.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you cut out a bit.
Yeah. Austin, Texas loves us. That's nice.
Ah, that's awesome.
Ray, thanks, Ray. Austin, Texas loves Extreme Health Radio. Woohoo! T says, before I forget again, congratulations on the birth of your twins. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah, we're doing.
Make sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Kate. Sorry.
No, I just want to make sure I wasn't skipping over anybody's questions.
Yeah, no, we've got a lot of cool scientists, the new priest in white lab coat. That's so true, Ray. I love that name, by the way. R-E-Y.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool name, huh? R-E-Y.
Is that how Ray from Star Wars spells it? I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. Ray Compost. Scientists, the new priests in white lab coats. That's so true. You know, it's something, too, that you also see when it comes to language. It's interesting when you start learning and start understanding how they use our words against us. There's actually something that you could look up on YouTube called Quantum Language, I think, by... I forgot the guy's name. It's a 9-hour lecture, and it's just fascinating, all about language and how language started, and it's just unreal, and it will open your eyes to new patterns of language that you've never heard of before. But when you start seeing words like now you see, like, remember, Kate, OCTD, which was the bus system that we used to have growing up. It was called OCTD, and it was Orange County Transit District. And now it's OCTA,
right.
Orange County Transit Authority. Right? And it's like there's... What's that?
That was a good catch when we first talked about that. I wouldn't have noticed that. That was crazy.
Yeah, a crime happens, right? And authorities are en route, or authorities say XYZ, authority. Part of this whole thing is trying to convince the public that we're not an authority over our own life.
Right. Well, everything on the news, authorities are looking into it,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Let's see if we got anybody on Facebook. We broadcast on Facebook as well, Extreme Health Academy, and I got a lot of people listening there. And let's see, Erica Anderson, how is mommy and daddy? We're doing good, doing very good. Miles, which means it must be your child was born on Father's Day. Wow. Erica says, how are the babies? I've been thinking about you both. That's so cool.
Aww.
That's awesome.
So nice.
Andrea Overman says, right, example, gut health and mental health, or fluoride, etc. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you were saying that in relation to. I forget. It's probably something we were talking about before. Yeah. Is there anything that we want to make sure that we cover, Kate, in this show? Anything you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think. I feel like we always have so much off the radio that we talk about. It's hard to recap it or remember when we come 3 days later.
I know, right? I know.
I'm trying to think. What's funny is I will say we got a funny email today. We sent out I don't know if you checked our email, but we sent out a thing saying, hey, it's Labor Day. We can run this flash sauna sale.
Oh, right.
And that we also are going to buy it or whatever. And one of our listeners who I love and always sends us emails, and I love her. And they've been super, super supportive of sending us a $20 check every month for a year, just cool people. Right.
Oh, right.
I don't know if you got that email, but it was so funny. It's a bummer because she said she listens to our show only on her iPod, and have time to watch, YouTube or Facebook or any of these live things. She says she doesn't have time for videos because she's always doing self-care and things where she can't be watching it. She'd rather listen,
Right.
But it was kind of a bummer. And I know she was kind of joking, but in capitals, it was I know everyone wants to be movie stars, by being on social media. And I wanted to write back, it's so funny because the last thing you and I honestly want to do is be movie stars or be these known people with our faces. But I think there's something that connects. I wanted to just write back and be I think there's a connection that happens. When I watch somebody on a YouTube channel or a Facebook thing that I really like love, I feel like I'm connected to them, and then connection leads to change in people's lives. So it's funny just to make a quick judgment saying like, oh, bummer, you're changing your format a bit because you want to be seen and you want to be famous. Like, I think that's really funny that people just assume that kind of thing.
Right, right.
um, I don't know if you saw that email or not, but I thought, gosh, like it's been sitting with me the last hour, and I thought, gosh, like you just feel misunderstood, but you also feel like there's something about having this chat over here where you get to make all these friends, and you get to like have this new, everybody's helping each other. And I thought she's going to miss out on that because she likes to listen to her iPod, which is fine, but also just to not make judgments thinking people just want to be known or seen or want to become famous in this world. It's funny to me.
I know that's the last thing that I ever wanted to do is to be famous. I never want. I think that would be. It seems to me being famous would be the worst thing ever. I just do not think that's
Worse.
normal. Yeah, because then you have all
Yeah.
all of these people that know you, but you don't know them, and it just creates this. What is that? What is that name of that? Oh gosh, it's something. I forgot the name of it, but it's a name basically for the idea that human beings are only really cognitively able to have about up to 127 different people in their life that they can connect with, and I forget the name of
Right.
it. But when
Yeah.
you are famous and everyone connects with you, but you don't connect with them because you don't know them, it's so
Right.
crazy. Like, I mean, ultimately our goal with this whole thing is to empower people to let them know that there's other options out there. Like we haven't been told the truth when it comes to healing, you know,
Right.
like there's
Right.
there it's it, like there's so much that a person could do, there's so many things a
Right.
person could do to heal and to support themselves that you're not going to get in the mainstream media. So that's what our whole goal
I
is.
and I know she knows that because at the end I was even like, "Hey, the baby's into mama," and like just really, she's our friend, and it's not like it's a
Right.
bad thing. But I thought, wow, it's funny when you feel misunderstood, you just want to help people, and like
Right,
the
right.
last thing you and I want to do is be known everywhere we go. Let me go change a baby.
Okay. Oh, that's so funny. I'll turn her microphone off. Yeah, so what do you guys think? So GV Gas says in the YouTube comments, or GVAS, I agree, Kate. I've learned so much from both of you and love how cool and humble people you are. Well, we try, we try our best to do the best we can, getting the word out there, getting to know, different people in the alternative health and natural health world is our goal to get that message out there. And I don't know about you guys, but when I look at a lot of people, I feel like I don't fit in. Like, do you guys feel like that? You guys are watching. Do you guys feel like that? You don't fit in with so many different groups, because for me, I feel like I don't fit in with just average people, right? I don't want to say average people, but I don't fit in with just normal, quote, normal people. We have so many different ideas and philosophies about life that are so different from what you're going to get from the average person out there that you just don't fit in. You don't click, you don't lock, you don't, it doesn't, I don't know. There's no connection there. And then I also feel like I don't fit in the natural health world too, because man, I mean, there's some really, really crazy, weird people in the natural health world. I just don't feel like I fit in there either. I'm not a hippie. I'm not, sleeping under a crystal all night and howling at the moon. It's just like I feel like I don't fit in any real realm. And so Miss Vixen says she feels the same. Yeah, like a while back, Kate and I went to a place up in LA, and it was a talk that Gabrielle Bernstein was giving for her new book, and it was filled with sort of new age kind of people, and we just felt so out of place. There were a lot of people there wearing turbans, and I don't know what it is. Like I feel like having a place like this, at least it's virtually, it makes you feel connected to other people, because I don't fit in with those kind of people that are, chanting all night long and wearing turbans, and I don't know what it is. I don't connect with them at all. Like, but then I don't connect with, purely right wing religious people either. Like I don't fit with them, and then I don't fit in with the super, super into health even. Like a lot of people I just don't connect with. I don't connect with at all. And I just think that having a place online where you can have a group of people that you can connect with that are normal, that are interested in health, that want to do better for themselves. Like all of you guys watching and listening right now, I mean, you want to have the best life ever. You know, you want to be able to have energy and to be able to do all the things in your life that are meaningful to you. And you don't want to be run down, and you don't want to be, having poor health, and you don't want to go through the same sort of health conditions and health crises that you've seen your family go through. So that's why we're all here, right? We want to do something better. And so that's ultimately our goal, is to empower people, because as you guys know, health is one way for a person to better themselves. It's personal development. You can do it through mental, emotional, spiritual programming, changing your subconscious mind. You can do it through many different layered approach. You could improve yourself many different ways: mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all these different ways. But what I like about attacking it or going at it with health in mind is that health is something that's easily manageable, and it's easily something that you can change and alter. It's not like you have to go on a spiritual retreat for 2 weeks, by yourself and not saying anything in silence. It's like, no, health you can just change every single day. It's a little more challenging because we do have cravings, and we do have, things in our life that cause us to be addicted to things, and that's for sure. But I don't know. I think health is a really easy way to start getting into the world of personal development. And I think that's a super simple way to do it as well, because we eat, theoretically, most people eat 3 times a day. So there you have 3 different opportunities every day to be able to better yourself. And and by doing it every single day like that, it makes it so that it's always on the top of your mind, which is great. Jess Eve says in the YouTube chat, it can be hard to find open and like-minded people, and thankful for these channels. I know, it is really challenging, isn't it, to find people that are open and willing. Like on our last show, we had someone on that was talking about, let me see if Kate's back real quick, because I'm looking at the chat now. She's still feeding Will and Ben. But we had this guy that was talking about flat Earth, and he was going on about flat Earth, and and then another guy was sort of debating him. And, what's interesting about these types of things are flat Earth is one of those things where it will push the limits to see how open-minded you are. It will really push the limits. So one of the quotes that I like to say a lot, and it's true, is the only disease really is a closed mind. And when you close yourself off to ideas and people, regardless of whether or not you believe them, you close yourself off to possibility. So we live in this quantum state, right? We live in this this quantum state of anything is possible, depending on the stimulus from the environment. And environment could be physical, spiritual, emotional, your thoughts, anything. So we live in a quantum state that basically the outcome is determined by the person who is involved in the experiment. And we are involved in the experiment every single day, you and I. And so when you are closed-minded to ideas and concepts, it closes if there is such a thing as creating your own reality, if that's true, then what happens is that you or let's say for those of you that believe in God and it's God that sort of lays all this stuff out, it doesn't really matter the language you use. But if that is true, and if you close yourself off to these types of things, then you close yourself off from possibility. Is Kate, are you back? Or let's see. Yeah, Kate's back. So you close yourself off to possibility. So Kate, I was just talking about people that, we had a guy on the chat room the other day talking about flat Earth, and I was saying flat Earth is the ultimate litmus test to see how open-minded someone is. And whether or not you believe in it or not, it doesn't really matter. What matters is your mind flexible, malleable, and permeable, and can it change and adapt and be open to new stimulus and new input and new information? And so I don't necessarily know if the Earth is flat. I don't know if it's round. I've looked at a lot of research. It doesn't really matter to me at all. I don't really care what the shape of the Earth is. What I care about is looking into things and being open-minded and staying that way. And always looking at new things and looking at things with an open mind and saying something like, can this healing modality work for me? If someone has the C word, if their body has the C word, a couple extra cells that are, growing rapidly, if they're a closed-minded person, if they're someone who says, oh, flat earth, blah, 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 if they're closed-minded to all that, they're probably also going to be closed-minded to the idea that maybe, Frank Shallenberger, who we're going to have on today, ozone therapy could help the body overcome those extra cells, right? So that's what I mean about keeping an open mind and looking into things and not just writing everything off, because there's truth in a lot of this stuff. And we've already been, laid the framework of, we've all been lied to about everything in our culture. So if they're going to lie to us about everything, why would they all of a sudden start telling the truth about some new thing? You know what I mean? Mm. So
good point.
Keep an open mind. I think it's super, super important. ZCK Barbara says too many people refuse any health education. That's true. Isn't that true, Kate? Do you notice that?
Yeah, I totally do.
Like, no one wants to hear about health, do they?
No, because I think people think I think it has a stigma of being boring.
Right.
And like my own family thinks, it's like we laugh about it, but they think that we just talk about like the food pyramid and, what vitamins to take and how to exercise. Like no one gets how deep health goes. It's like on so many levels, and I think it all begins up here, and nobody understands that in my world, in my family. Mm-hmm. It stinks when you your mind is opened up, and I think that's when you start winning.
Mm-hmm. I remember your dad asking me at the very beginning of the show. Shoot, I'm getting a. I can hear I'm getting some feedback. Can you hear me twice or just once?
Once.
Okay.
That's annoying. Sorry.
Yeah. Don't say. Yeah, I can hear myself twice. It's being recorded twice as well. Is there any way for you to, Kate, come back into this conversation and close it out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'll try that.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So I remember Kate's dad telling me back in the day when we first started the show, we told him, and he said, so you guys really have enough, there's enough to talk about with regards to health? Like there's enough people around that can talk and about health, and it's not all the same stuff. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, there are people whose entire career is based on, it's like their entire career is based on like the liver or the thyroid. Like they spend their whole life helping people overcome thyroid issues. And, there's so many different aspects to health and the kinds of people that we talk to that it can just go on forever. It's just literally go on forever. All the different people we can talk to. Unfortunately, Kate, I have you on mute because I can hear myself twice and it's being recorded twice. Did you come out and come back in?
Not yet. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I think the problem, I can just hear double of me. That's all. Are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the camera's on you right now.
Okay.
Okay, I think I might have to turn your audio off because I'm hearing two of me.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Actually, no, now I can hear just one of me.
Okay.
Okay, so I think it may have just somehow righted itself. Yeah, Jivas says, I believe in God and Jesus is Lord, but I believe in health and doing what we can do, and he takes care of what we can't. Okay, so Jivas, I have an interesting question for you. Do you find that going to church and going and interacting with other Christian people, do you find in that community of a really big, what's the right word? I want to use the right word. A really, people don't necessarily take care of themselves and they're not interested in their health.
Disconnection.
What's that?
I would say a disconnection there.
Yes. Yeah, people, especially, I don't know, I found this in the Christian world a lot where you go to church, and they'll have donuts and coffee at the end, or at the back of the actual service, and then, you're feeding people sugar and all these types of things, and they're getting sick, and it's really, really like you just want to scream and wake people up and say, like, we wouldn't have to have all of these prayer chains for people if we just taught them how to take care of themselves. And I think that we talk about this all the time, that I think it's the philosophy of biblical Christianity treats man like a secondary sort of important being. Like, it's all going to burn anyway, right? The earth is just going to burn anyway. We don't need to take care of the earth. We don't need to take care of ourselves. We're just passing through. It's weird, right? Have you noticed that, Kate?
Yeah, and it bums me out because being a Christian person, I totally agree. It's like there are things that are out of our control, and God, I put so much in God's hands going, I've done what I could do. And but like if we are living by that standard and trusting that like God's entrusted us with our temple, and it talks about taking care of your temple, and we're not doing that. I have a really big problem with people not caring for themselves. And a lot of that, unfortunately, has been my experience with the church,
Mm-hmm. You see it a lot, right? You see, I don't know what it is. I don't know why, many Christians don't want to take care of the temple that they have been given to by God. I mean, it's like this earth and this body were gifts from God. And I don't know why a lot of Christians don't want to take care of that. It's really bizarre.
Right. And then you're right too. Like, and then we start prayer chains and we put people on, like meal stuff, and we're like, why did this person get cancer? And there's this huge disconnect of like, they don't understand why God is letting them go through this when we've basically ravaged our bodies and damaged our temple ourselves, and we're mad at God, or we can't understand why he doesn't heal us,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's strange. It's very odd. It's an odd thing. I'm wondering. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's like if God's entrusted a life and a body to us, we need to try harder,
I hear ya. Gvos says here in the chat room, yes, a lot of people are not aware of health and how to take care of themselves. The powers that want to be, I like that, have infiltrated and hijacked the mindset of worship. Interesting. Hello, all. I love this. 144,000 to 2,300 days. I love that. I know her. Kathy says, I can't believe when I went with a friend to get their chemo treatment, and they always would have a big bowl of candy for the patients. That's insane. Gosh. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Oh, that is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I used to leave the dentist, and they would have like a sugar-free bowl of a bowl of sugar-free hard candies by the thing. But I thought, that's still stuff that's going to stick in your teeth. It's like, so who cares if it's sugar-free? You have all this corn syrup and crap in it,
I know, right? Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Like, it's so counterintuitive to what should be, Yeah, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind the how people are just so in the dark when it comes to this stuff. El Duce, I love that. El Duce. What is the brand of your blue blockers? Yeah, they're from Blue Blocks. They're from blueblocks.com. We have a show with Andy Mant, who is the owner of that company, and I'm actually getting a couple more pairs. They're going to be arriving here pretty soon. Got to protect your eyes, my friends. More important than food. I'm trying to tell people, protect your eyes. If you're not looking, if you don't have Iris running on your computer screen, or if you don't have Flux, make sure you have glasses on, protecting your eyes. Super, super important.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, there is. Let's see. You want to wrap it up in a few minutes, Kate?
Sure, yeah, because unfortunately I probably have to go feed babies.
Okay. Gvos says there is a lot of ignorance in church and out of church. Funny thing is that I first learned about health in church. Wow. That's interesting.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. I wonder how.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Ray Campo says to go along with the fluoride. That's hilarious.
Nice.
Is there any truth, do you think, to that whole thing with Hitler and fluoride? Do you think there's any truth to that?
Yeah, what was the theory?
The theory was that allegedly Hitler used fluoride to sort of dumb down people and get them comply with his rhetoric, and to not fight back, and it was there as a way to get people to. But that's what people say about fluoride. I don't know if that's necessarily the truth or not. I've just heard people say that.
Was that where, because obviously there's fluoride in our water system right now, and people say that makes us all dumbed down and sheeple right now with all our tap water and stuff, but did it supposedly start with Hitler experimenting on people?
I don't know. I don't know exactly where it came from. I think Bayer had something to do with it back in the day. But
they did? Bayer?
Shocking, right? I may be wrong about that, but if you're watching, and maybe comment below and let us know what you think about that. Curious, yeah. I don't know. I've watched a lot of documentaries about Hitler too. Speaking of keeping an open mind, that's a whole rabbit trail that you can go down and learn more about Hitler. I suspect we haven't been told the truth about him, but I don't know.
I'll learn more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I need to watch some more documentaries.
We've got a lot of cool shows coming up, guys. If you guys want to join us, we'll be back on Monday at, I think we're going to check in. Let me look at our schedule to see if we're going to be back on Monday at 9 a.m.
Yeah, we apologize about Dr. Shallenberger, too. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that was a bummer, wasn't it?
We'll get it back on, I know, but gosh, that's a bummer when you expect one thing and then you see us with babies and dogs. And
I know, this is a totally impromptu show. So on Monday we have two guests on Monday. We'll be talking about healing cancer naturally and secrets to detoxification. So that's going to happen on Monday. So that's really cool. All right, if that's it, I think we're going to head out, guys. This is sort of impromptu. We didn't have any notes. We just kind of went live just for the heck of it and just to hang out with you guys. Nikki says we live in separation. United self is God. El Duce says he'll look into the Blue Box glasses. That's awesome. If you get them, El Duce, use the code EHR. I think Andy set up a 10% discount, EHR, I think. They all smoke at the cancer ward. We die anyway. Oh, my gosh. That's true. The script continues, just repackaged and sold a la Monsanto. It's true. Monsanto, man, it's not looking good for them, I'll tell you. There was a health ministry at church, and I attended all the time. That's cool. That's cool. You don't see a lot of that in churches. You just don't see a lot of it. T. Hughley says, God bless you. Have a great Labor Day. We will. Thank you. You too. Any of you guys see the $289,000 or $1 million lawsuit was taken on Monsanto? A guy sued them, so it may have some truth to what you guys are speaking about. Yeah, that guy won $289 million, which is a drop in the bucket for Monsanto as a result of contracting non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that is allegedly for him terminal. So here's the thing, guys. I just really want to stress this to you. I know we talked about this on one of our last shows, but just because something is introduced into the public doesn't mean that it's healthy for you, or it's good for you, or it's not going to damage you. So we have this pervasive thought in our culture that, they, meaning the powers that be, meaning the people that just put things out into the public, would never do anything bad to hurt us, or they wouldn't release things that would be dangerous to us. But you see it all the time. You see it all the time. And this comes out of the idea of thinking that people are out there to help you. And so I just want to stress that, their job, the government, these private corporations like Monsanto, their job is to make money. People think the government is for the people. The role of government is to make money. That's why we have a birth certificate. It gets into contract law. It goes so deep, guys. And so if they can make money and then take something off the market, you see it all the time with pharmaceutical drugs. They release it, and then 3 years later, all these people die, and then they take it off the market. And then and then those same companies are exempt from any kind of lawsuit that can happen. So always question your doctor. Always do that. Just don't take what they say at face value. Ask them questions. It's so important to do that. Right, Kate?
Yeah.
Look at little Cocoa Puff.
I agree. And look, I know, look at her. Look at her face.
Little Cocoa
Hi,
Puff.
Coco.
Oh,
Coco.
she's so sweet.
question your doctor and do your research on medications too.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that my mom unfortunately didn't do with this chemo that she was on, Taxol, recently, is
Right.
researching it. I told her, I said, Mom, you have to research this stuff before you take it.
Right.
You know, and it ravaged her body, and she's going through it right now. And so it's rough.
Hospitalized. I mean, that kind of ravaged, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a really big deal. It's a really big deal.
Hospitalized for a week, you know?
Yeah, that was intense. Man.
Yeah. So,
But
you
yeah,
know,
I agree. Everybody's in charge of their own health, and God, and what we can't control, God's in charge of. So we got to let go.
there you go. Yeah, do the best you can, right? And then
Yep.
let the chips fall where they may.
Yep, I agree.
All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap this up. This was episode 598, and big thanks to Kate for coming on, for doing an impromptu free-for-all Friday. That was so super cool.
I missed this, and this is really fun. Had I known, we would have got a sitter, so I didn't have screaming babies and dogs, and it's like full circus over here. But this was so much fun. I'm sorry if it wasn't super like, you know, I didn't get to prepare anything, but it's been really fun.
I know, right? It's yeah. Neither of us prepared really anything for this, so we're just kind of hanging out with you guys. Let me just see if there's anything in the chat room that you guys are saying. Dr. Daniel said too much of anything can kill you. That's true. Steal money, better said. I do think detox can save him, especially with some of the modalities we speak about on your show. Save who, Miss Vixen? Scariest 9 words.
Probably the guy.
Oh, the guy from Monsanto, right?
Exactly.
I believe so too. You have to have. This is where having an open mind comes in. You have to understand and have to think and believe that the human body is always looking for homeostasis, always trying to heal. The body's always trying to heal itself, and you know,
right.
all the way up to your dying day, you have to believe that.
Right.
You need to do a show on weed smoking down in Miami. So many of our youth is hooked on it bad. Oscar Torres says it has to be hard for you knowing what you know and have your mom taking that path. Oscar, man, that is so true. That is so true. You know what? Well, I've learned a long time ago when I first started getting into alternative and natural health that you have to let go. Because I started realizing when I started learning this stuff, I started thinking, wow, you can actually heal from cancer. You can heal from these other diseases naturally. You don't have to be on psychotropic medications, or you don't have to be on, you know, chemotherapy that's going to kill you. You can heal naturally. And I was like, oh, man, I want to shout this from the rooftop, right? And then I start telling people, and no one was interested. No one would want to care, you know? And then, so then you start telling people, sometimes you tell people, it's rare that if they're interested and they're not sick. But what's really bizarre to me is when you tell people and they're sick and they're still not interested. So then I started getting into the spiritual side of all of this stuff. And that book, Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Mace, is really good. And she says that we all come into this world with sacred contracts. And before we are born, we drink from the river of forgetfulness, so that we forget all of that, so that we can learn the lessons we're here to learn and to grow spiritually, emotionally, and help others do the same. And so, you know, when you start realizing that you can't change other people and you start giving up and you start letting other people have their experience, right, Kate? That's been the hardest thing for both of us, hasn't it?
It has been, and I think that's the thing, is like you want to be a light and like an encouragement to people and a beacon of hope. But you have to separate yourself from the responsibility or the blame or the guilt if people aren't interested, or if you don't share something with somebody at times because they've already made up their mind and you don't want to throw that monkey wrench in. So it's an interesting practice.
Yeah, that's where the spiritual side of everything comes in, and that's where all of that becomes a factor, is learning to let go and to love people and allow people to have their journey. And allowing people to have that, because people did that with us, right? I mean, no one shoved all this stuff down our throat. People allowed us to have our journey, and people allowed us to do what we want to do. I mean, imagine if someone were coming to you and telling you, we were just talking about this the other day, Kate, you know, imagine if my mom was going to do, which, you know, she did, chemotherapy, if I just railed on her and I just, you know, told her all of the evidence, and she knows where I stand with it all. but she knows I'm here if she needs it. But it's
Right.
you're right. In the chat room, it was really hard. Ray says that, or Oscar said that it is really hard to go through that. Ray says it's the same situation with her mom. It hurts her heart. I know. And so I think for me, the balance that I have is letting people know what I know at least once. So like your friends and family, if they're going through something, they know that you're there for a resource, and then you just support them no matter what they do in a loving way.
Right.
Because no one wants someone, preaching at them and telling them different things that they don't want to do because they're scared, they're fearful, and I get it. It's tough.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah, that's the thing, is for me to separate like judgment. We've talked about that, and that could be a whole show in itself, but separating judgment from what people want to do, and also being, like you said, supportive of their choices, but it's also being willing to, like, in some cases let them die for their choice. And that's really hard. I had a friend who died like a month ago, and I had shared once, and he didn't seem all that interested, and he had already decided what path he was going to go with his body's cancer. And I supported him no matter what, and that was even in death. And that's not something anybody wants to hear, but if that's the path, and and he was a believer in God, and he thought, this is just, if God has this for me, I'm okay with it. And that's also a brave thing to say. So I have a lot of respect for him in that choice too. So
right, totally.
Go put this baby away.
Okay, I will. I'll come home, Kate, really quickly, and I'll help with the babies. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys, for thinking it was an awesome show. I appreciate it. We were just came on here completely with no script, no notes, no nothing, and just kind of talked about different things. And so, thank you guys in the chat room for participating and being involved and giving us some things to talk about. There's so much really to talk about when it comes to natural health, natural healing, and having enough self-love and having enough, wherewithal to be able to reach deep within yourself and take care of yourself and to see the progress and avoid the outcomes. Like that famous quote says, if you want what everyone else has, just keep doing what everybody else is doing. Right? But if you want something different, then you have to do something every single day. Radically different every single day if you want something different. And that same quote holds true with regards to every area of your life, health, finances, your business, job, career, relationships, spiritual walk, all of it. It comes down to how we're living every single day. T. Hughley says, if your diet is poor, medicine is of no good. That's that famous quote too. It's great. But you know what? More important than diet is light. Light is more important. Our light environment is way more important. It's something I feel such a need to help spread that message, that light is way more important than the food that we eat. Homeopathy in the show. Yeah, you know what? That would be cool. Do you guys have any guests that you guys want us to interview? We send out requests every single day for people to be on the show. And if you do, let me know or share them in the chat room. Jiva says, yep, agree. They don't want to change their ways. When they are really ready, they will know who to call. That's true. That's true. But the tricky part is loving these people through that process, knowing that you can help them, right? Knowing that you are there for them and you have things that can help them, and still they suffer and they're not asking for your help. That's hard, isn't it, Kate?
Yeah, it's like when G-Boss said that, it's like I felt like I got a picture of somebody standing outside a door that's locked, and we have this whole thing of keys, and we're like, one of these keys will probably work for you, and they're just like, oh, I'd rather break down the door or stand outside. Either one's better than taking the keys.
I know, right?
And you're like, but you have all these keys. It's sad. It's more sad than it saddens my heart,
So true. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. Kate, how you doing with the kids?
I'm doing good. Will's sitting on my lap here, about to have a mental breakdown, so I'm probably going to peace out.
Okay. I'll be home in just a few minutes, and then I can help feed or whatever.
Super fun. Love you guys.
Awesome. Okay. All right, Kate, I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay. Bye, everybody. I love you. I'll see you soon.
All right, there you go. Mrs. Kate Stellman. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So Oscar says, light more important than food? I will see. Oscar, look into the work of Dr. Jack Kruse. We make our energy from biophotons from the sun, and all food is tied to the light cycle and photosynthesis, and it's broken down to electrons and protons and photons in the mitochondrial membrane. So we can skip that step of having to eat by allowing our solar panel to uptake more light. We're light deficient. So light is what impacts our mitochondria. And we're going to talk with Dr. Shallenberger today about that, because he's done a lot of work in the mitochondria with regards to ozone. So that was going to be fun, but we'll have to reschedule him. Dr. Ted Broer of Health Masters. Okay, cool. I'll check into him. You know, it's funny. I've been doing this for so long. We've been doing this particular show, since 2012. And I've been involved in natural health and natural healing since 2003 in a full-time way, in terms of research and learning and reading and growing and all of that. So it's funny when I don't know about certain people. Oh, cool. Okay, this George Vitalis or Vithokas is all about homeopathy. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're taking requests. If you guys have anybody that you think is interesting about to have on the show. So Jack is my mentor. Jack, who's Jack? Jiva says, yes, my dad knew I had a bunch of info, but still died from cancer because he refused to go through the changes. You know, Kate had a friend. There was a friend that we knew, and he had some kind of cancer. I forget. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but one of the things that I think he had throat cancer, and he was a cigar smoker, and he said he never really wanted to quit smoking, so he wanted to go out that way. My grandma was the same way. She knew that smoking caused cancer, but she didn't want to stop. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. All right, guys, we love you all. Thank you guys for listening. This will be up on YouTube very soon. If you're listening as a podcast, this was episode 598. Thank you guys for your support. Make sure to check out our store. If you guys haven't checked out our store, like the red light therapy and all that kind of stuff, I'll put a link to it right here. But thanks for joining us. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for buying through our Amazon link on our homepage. Thank you guys for your support on Patreon. You can send in a couple bucks every single month. It comes right out of your account, and you can do that on Patreon. That's linked to right from our homepage, Extreme Health Radio. You guys rock. So thank you guys for that. And make sure to check out the Academy only if you want to upgrade your health. Only for those that are serious. It's not really designed for people that aren't serious. So if you're serious about your health and you want to take your health to new levels, or if you want to overcome any kind of health challenge you have, the Academy is for you. But if you're just sort of like mildly interested in health, it's not going to be for you, because it's really like high-level stuff, and it's high-level information. So I want to let you guys know that. So make sure to check out extremehealthacademy.com, and if you use code EHR14, you'll get a free 14-day trial to check it out. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Labor Day. Hope you guys have a great, great day. Love you so much, and let us know if we can ever help. Let us know if we can ever help you in any way, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment/cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be continued as such. Always work with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, prescription drug use, lifestyle, or exercise activities. This information is provided as is, and the reader/viewer assumes all risks from the use, non-use, or misuse